This is the Curious Anarchy podcast, and we're back once again with another episode from the Astrology series. Today we have a good friend of mine who is a Gemini.
Yep.
Jordyn, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Very, very well. Thank you, first of all, for being open to coming on to this podcast episode. Share something about yourself with the world. Currently, we're in around 25 to 30 countries at the moment. Some of them are a bit of a surprise, like Chile.
That's awesome.
Mexico, you've got America, UK, Australia, New Zealand, we're all over the place, which is nice. And Tanzania as well. So hello to all of our Tanzanian fans, listeners. I would just like to have you just sort of open up with sharing a little bit about yourself, if that's okay. Like what you're up to and who you are for you.
Trying to tell people who I am always such a weird question, because I don't know, I have trouble pinpointing what people, not that I'm trying to say what people want, but pinpointing what they mean by who you are. But that's because I probably looked too much into what is my ego and questioned it a little bit too much. But as you said, yeah, my name is Jordyn. I'm 30 years old. I'm a Gemini. Right now I'm working as a dog walker. I'm actually taking over a dog walking business, a small. In the process of work-wise, it's a lot of fun working with businesses, and I enjoy numbers and seeing those types of things, and I like to mess around in the stock market for fun, try to make money, but
How is it
mostly for fun.
How is that going, by the way?
It's going all right. It's not, I think a lot of people are in the red right now. It's been a rough couple weeks, but I'm actually not doing nearly as bad as I kind of expected. I set very low expectations for myself of just like go in and learn. And kind of expecting to throw in money and lose it, but I haven't lost it all, which is pretty cool, and it's been a little over half a year now. So
that's a good start.
Yeah, so I can't complain.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So you look after dogs, you care for dogs?
Yeah, I love animals, all of the animals. I would do any job that lets me work with them at this point. I've realized. It took me a while to realize that, but I realize it now. It's such a fun, innocent work to do with animals when you're with them. I really appreciate that. The dogs are never sad to see you. They never come up to you. Well, some dogs have an attitude, but for the most part, you walk in and see a dog. They're not coming up to you to complain. They're just happy to see you. So.
And you work with puppies as well, like right up to older, I was going to say adult dogs, but...
Yeah. Yeah, we work with all dogs of all ages. We do pet sitting. We mostly do dog walks. That's 100% like what our main objective is, but we also do like cat sitting. I've like fed sugar gliders, guinea pigs, goats, all sorts of stuff. So.
Do you train them as well? Not the cats, the dogs more so.
No, we don't, but that's actually a piece that I want to add on to the business once all this goes through, is I want to add on like a training piece where we train dogs as we walk them. Because I think that's the area that, especially coming out of the pandemic, so many people got dogs but don't know how to teach their dogs leash etiquette. It can become dangerous for like the dogs and you when you're out there with them, especially for some of the bigger ones or things like that. So yeah, not training yet, but looking into it.
So This is the astrology story series where everybody that has been on so far has shared a story that is powerful for them, that is maybe humorous, that is maybe serious, or even quite thought provoking. I was just wondering if you have had any thoughts about what you'd like to share.
There's a few things that experiences, things I've thought about sharing a little bit. One being like my transition out of grad school and kind of the school world in general, and coming out and like the depression. That's actually right when we met. So you probably remember I'm going through a lot of transitions and mind openings and things like that at that time. Or just, I don't know, there's a few things around like that, and just where I'm at right now I think is also kind of a cool time, especially relating to astrology, because I'm coming into my Saturn return. And it's very obvious to me, and like even seeing the way my mindset's changing, the things I'm focusing on, and just how some of the lessons that I've learned in the past decade are all starting to culminate now, and things like that.
I hear that. So, just on that note, with talking about when we met, I did Mel's the other day. She's on it. She's going to you can look out for that one.
Oh, great. Just kidding. I love Mel. I need to catch up with her. It's been a bit.
She would love to hear from you. I will say that much.
Sorry, what'd you say?
She would love to hear from you. I will say that much.
Great. I will be reaching out. I did see when you messaged me, it was funny because the day before I had thought about her, and I was like, it's been a while, and like I follow her on Facebook and stuff, but I need to actually reach out and catch up.
It gets a bit much sometimes, all this social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, whatever else people are using.
Yeah, and sometimes you feel connected. Yeah. It's like a trick.
How many ways can you be connected to the same person?
Right?
So I guess it's that time then now where I should ask you the question. Would you like to tell us your story?
Yeah. I think I like to talk about probably my depression piece, and the piece where I was saying at first, because for me, still now, that's probably one of the biggest transitions I've gone through, in terms of just mindset and life and things like that. But I also want to be respectful of time and not talk too much, because I am a Gemini, so feel free to taper me or focus me at any time. Is there anything specific in a way you want me to talk about, or just tell the story?
Just tell your story. That's all.
All right. Yeah. So, I've in general, a little background. I've gone through school straight through. So, from high school to undergraduate to grad school. I'm not sure exactly what that looks like in the UK. The school system's different, but I've gone through all the way to the master's without a break. Because that's kind of the pipeline they put you in, especially at least in the United States, of like school. You're not going to be anything if you don't do this. You're not going to make money if you don't go to college. And like they show you all these numbers about how much more you make and all these expectations. So I go through the whole pipeline. And as I'm in grad school, because I haven't taken a break, and I'm in grad school working 2 different jobs the second year, and my mental health tanked like never before. Like I have had depression off and on, anxiety off and on, just I'm human. But the level of like depression and burnout that I felt by the end of the grad year, that last year, and that year coming out, was just a whole different level of didn't want to do anything, didn't know what I wanted to do, felt like I've wasted all this money because I'm now in 50 $50,000 of debt. That I'm looking at like what I'm going to get paid after all of this, and it's $30,000, which is the same thing I could have done without going to 6 years of schooling. So like sort of those different like feelings, and I was about 22 going into 24 going to 25 years old, sorry, at the time. Which is also just a significant time of kind of refining yourself, I think, and coming to that quarter of your life type thing, and just so much change, and everything felt like everything I had done was a waste, was a mistake. I had zero ambition, zero drive, none of that. Like I was pretty bad, and it's when I actually started dog walking as a part-time job, to mostly just because I needed money, and it was just lucky that it was also everything you kind of need in that time, because it's a less stressful job. I'm working with outside, I'm getting sunlight, and I started feeling just a little bit better, but still not there, but at least I was getting out. And it wasn't until I started really just, I got really bad sleep paralysis is actually one of the big things too. Really bad sleep paralysis, where every other night I was having the episodes and waking up and not moving, and at first it was terrifying. Then I kind of got a little used to it. Then I start researching, how do I make this stop? They said don't sleep on your back, so I didn't sleep on my back for like a year straight. I slept on only my side and my stomach, which does help, but then I still roll over in my sleep and get sleep paralysis anyways. And it was awful at first, but then the more you do it, the more you get used to it, kind of with anything in life. You're afraid.
Can you just explain for the listeners what sleep paralysis is, just in case there's anyone that hasn't heard of it?
Yeah, so sleep paralysis, I mean, there's a few different definitions depending on who you're asking. It's probably most commonly known as like the thing when it feels like a ghost is sitting on your chest and you can't wake up. But what it scientifically is you're asleep, but your mind wakes up. So when you go to sleep, your body falls asleep and your mind loses control of moving it. It just kind of shuts that down. I don't know the scientific words for it, but it shuts down. So when you're asleep, so you're not flailing around and things like that, hypothetically. But in sleep paralysis is when your mind starts waking up, but your body doesn't wake up. So you feel awake, you feel conscious, you feel like you could look around the room, you feel like you could hear things around you. Sometimes you see things of spirits, ghosts, demons, whatever it may be that you're seeing in your environment or that your mind is projecting. That's kind of when the definitions get blurry depending on who you're asking, but you basically can't move though. Your body is still locked in place. So you wake up, usually see something, you're terrified, can't move, can't wake up, and it's not a great feeling. Wow. I have drawn pictures, I've like ran out and to like talk to friends in the middle of the night, like, oh my gosh. One time actually had a friend, my roommate, walk through the bedroom when I had an episode because we shared a bathroom and like a master suite sort. So she walked through the bedroom into the bathroom and took a shower, and the whole time I like watched her walk in there. I can't see her in the shower, but I could hear the shower. I know she's in there, and I just wanted to wait until she came back out so I could ask her if my eyes were open. I just want to know if my eyes are open. And I fell back to sleep. I didn't get to ask her because unfortunately I couldn't stay there for 30 minutes in sleep paralysis. But I did ask her and she said my eyes were closed. So I don't know if I'm seeing things, if I'm assuming things. I mean, our minds are kind of crazy things and are able to project fill in a lot of information for us that we can't necessarily see. But I was just having a lot of crazy things. So I started researching it to learn more about it, and that's when you go into sleep paralysis, you start learning about projecting and astral travel and stuff, where your soul is coming out of your body and you're sleeping, traveling around the world or other dimensions, whatever it may be. And and I get out of body experiences, near death experiences, all of those things, and then started researching into Buddhism and all these other religious and spiritual beliefs and manifestation, and like that whole humongous bag. Bag's not a really good word because you couldn't fit it in a bag, but that sort of area I really dove into at that point. And that, and just seeing these different things differently, and coupled with being outside, interacting with the animals, getting outside, not being stressed, writing papers, answering phones, people, whatever it is to work with people. But it all worked together to really, it completely changed my mindset. And when a lot of people kind of refer to that time, or what I see it as, is like the death of your soul, dark night of the soul. Yes. So sort of that period, and it really, I just dove into so many things and started talking to my great grandma who had passed away and my ancestors and stuff, and looked into even witchcraft things and all that stuff that comes with it, voodoo, and just really started building a connection with my own ancestors and changing the way I thought and exercising, taking better, despite what it felt like all of these failures that I've done, all this waste, the waste I've had that I thought I had, just really restructuring how I view that and learning how to restructure how I view things. So it's one thing to say, oh, a bad thing's always a good thing, is it also a good thing? You just have to look at it different. It's one way to say that, but to learn how to do that is a whole different story. And I think people kind of forget that when they're trying to do that. That it does take conscious effort. It does take rewiring and time to change how you're viewing. But once I did learn these things and constantly practicing it every day, is definitely not perfect, but I did learn how to practice it, and learning how to practice it, I think, is one of the biggest positive things that have come out of my life at this point. Or does that make sense? Yeah. One of the most significant switches for me and changes.
That's really quite powerful. As you mentioned, the dark night of the soul. The dark night of the soul is probably not the most comfortable experience to go through. Some people might call it like a midlife crisis, or a crisis in general, or the Phoenix Rising experience, or the Tower experience. I've heard that one quite a few times. It's all to do with the deconstruction and then the reconstruction. Got the twin aspect with the Gemini, which is a little bit like Pisces as well. You've got the whole thing.
I love Pisces.
Thank you.
Y'all are crazy. Y'all are silly. But it's that changeable, mutable energy that I think connects us.
For sure. So I wanted to ask you, what is your next step forward?
Yeah, so my next step is, I don't want to say it's doing what I've been doing, but it kind of is. It's to take those same lessons, especially now, because I feel like I'm in another transition period. It is my Saturn return, and it is time for me to start, doing the adulty thing, start getting things together, get my ducks in a row, or whatever you want to call it. And the past few years, I've kind of slipped off on a lot of things, and slipped off on sort of my commitment to these sort of... It's a commitment to myself, not in a bad way, but I've definitely slacked more than I probably would have wanted to. But I also think that's
Mhm,
also a necessary thing now in retrospect. So now I am currently integrating all these things that I learned back then, reintegrating them back in, finding the ones that are most helpful, letting go of some of the things that I was like, I don't know if I necessarily need to eat this green algae every single day for the rest of my life. That maybe was not for me, but I did it for a good year. But you know, finding the things that worked for me, and I'm really trying to integrate those into my life just to make things flow easier. It's weird, I have vision for the future, but I'm working on letting go of the attachment for what happens, and what I really want is just to work on myself. And my next steps are just to keep continuing to improve myself so that I can run this business and it will hopefully flourish, and get a house is what I like to do, and get a farm and live with some animals and
Oh wow,
things like that. But yeah,
amazing.
the big picture. But my biggest goal is honestly just to keep improving and learning more about myself, and taking care of myself. I've really been reflecting the last year or so on what is my goal, what would make me happy, and I don't think there's much that would make me happy, but what I can do is take care of myself, is what I've kind of come to realize. I'm going to try to look at my next 10 years that way, I think.
Yeah. Do you have a 10-year plan? Or a 5-year plan?
Oh my gosh. And this is maybe a Gemini trait, but I just cannot look 10 years in the future.
Have you got a 5-year plan?
I can't predict myself for the weekend.
Right. No,
but I do think
we're done with this. We're gonna catch up. We're gonna go through one plan together, because I've put one together for myself, and yeah, we'll
I'd love to. I have like big picture ideas, but I don't have very much of a plan, so I'd love to chat with you about that.
Yeah, no worries. What I would like to do is to say thank you, first of all, for many of the people that have taken part in this. They have, and I kind of have to almost leave a disclaimer, where they've experienced like a resurgence or recollections of certain memories or certain feelings. Their perceptions have been changing since they've done this. So I just kind of put that to you, just to make you aware, in case.
I love it.
Get in touch with me, because I'd love to hear what's come up for you. Thank you. You've always been a shining bright light in my life. You've always brought that element of fun. And I know we've had our back and forth on Facebook where we've had fun. And I'm really enjoying this kind of new you that I'm seeing coming through. And I'm really looking forward to seeing where that goes. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much. And I love our back and forth, like you said, and it's also awesome seeing you like taking on these shows and doing great things as well, and your other talks and groups and stuff. So yeah, we're doing great things now, huh?
Absolutely. To the future.
Yes, to the future.
Okay, so I think that is all we have time for, unless there is anything else that you'd like to leave the Curious Anarchy listeners with before we do that.
No, my only advice going into my 30s to people in their 20s would be just learn about yourself. Let go of all your, and maybe to anybody your age, I hate to limit to an age, just learn about yourself and let go of your expectations. Life gets a little easier that way.
That is a very powerful thing right now. I will tell you that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Jordyn. Jordyn Gemini. Jordyn the Gemini. Jordyn. Interesting. So much for being able to participate. It's been a pleasure to speak with you, and it's been wonderful to just listen to you. This series, I just wanted to listen.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm really proud of you, and I'm happy that you made it here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm actually really excited to listen to all of them as well, because I see what everyone has said, and
yeah,
it'll be fun.
Okay, so thank you, Jordyn. It's been wonderful, and thank you all to the curious and curious for tuning in. This has been the astrology series with Jordyn, the Gemini. Thank you all so much. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.